So recently I've collabed with Lean in London on a podcast series. One of the episodes was about how to dress professionally and authentically while keeping our feminine energy. And I guess I got inspired by the topic and I decided why not record a video about this to sort of share my opinion and my tips in more depth. So part one, I'll talk about the way I dressed back in my corporate days and what I learned from it. And part two, I'll share with you some advice and tips that I learned along the way as a coach and the tips that I share with my current clients whenever they talk to me about feeling more confident and assertive at work. I'm Wafa, an ex-investment banker, cubicle survivor turned professional career and wellness coach and speaker. On this channel, I love talking about health and wellness, self-care, burnout prevention, and fulfilling career transitions. So if any of these topics sound good to you, make sure you like the video and subscribe to my channel not to miss any further updates. So, allons-y! Back in my corporate days, I loved to wear a knee-length bodycon dress. I would buy all the basic neutral colors. I would pair them with beautiful leather stilettos. And I would just, wear a bun or a ponytail like today and a very simple makeup like I'm doing today. On other days when I had a different mood going on, I would go for leather derbies and a classic suit, so a blazer, a blouse, and work pants. So at first I was really excited to shop for new outfits to wear at the office, and I guess, growing up, we always see those images in TV or on series of, actors and actresses that work in big corporations, and I'm thinking about Suits, for example. The gentlemen and the ladies in these series look really sharp, they're really dressed apart, they look really glamorous. So you want to emulate that and you think, okay, one day when I work in a big corporation, I will dress the part as well and I will look amazing. So obviously, you shop for outfits and then you start working and you feel really good about yourself, and that's it. A couple of weeks into the job, I noticed that my outfits caught some attention. It didn't make me feel comfortable. There was some energy around that. I could see that it raised some eyebrows. I couldn't understand why, because I definitely looked professional. After all, I looked, like all those images we see on social media or on TV and series, whatever. So, what can be wrong about stilettos and about neutral colors and about knee-length bodycon dress and blouse? What's supposed to be wrong about that? Nothing. So I didn't want to be defined by my body. I really thought about it and I thought, I'm here to work, I'm eager to learn, I'm not doing anything wrong, I'm coming here with the right intentions to learn and grow and be professional, so why would I be defined by, my body? So I decided to just keep my wardrobe as is and keep my energy and attitude as is. Very professional, very ladylike, and very me. So I did that. However, I really noticed that over time, it really just created this weird dynamic. I guess it's hard to explain for me because it's these implicit signals that you notice. It's hard to put words on them, but you just feel a little bit awkward at work. You see that the energy, especially with the women in the team, is weird, and also the men in the team is a bit strange as well, but nobody really says anything. Obviously, no one can say anything because, again, I'm dressed very professional. What is there to say? There's nothing wrong with my outfit, especially because I see other women in the team dressed the same way. People that were at my seniority level, other juniors dressed the same way, and other senior women as well dressed that way. So I was thinking, it's the norm. Why am I feeling like there's something off there, It took me a good couple of months to finally pinpoint what there was. And that's when I finally understood that there's a set of rules that we need to be aware of to dress appropriately at work and fit in properly in a team. There's a set of explicit rules that we're all taught about. When you go to work, you have to dress professionally. For men, you wear a suit, sometimes a tie, leather shoes, you have to be shaved depending on your industry, well-groomed, fresh and clean, ready to work with a good attitude. Great. For women, same thing. You wear a suit, you want to wear a skirt, some heels or flats, but you need to look fresh, look the part, be ready to work, fresh and clean and ready to work. We all know these rules, very easy. However, as I shared on the Lean In podcast, there's some people who are not aware sometimes of these rules or don't want to comply with them, and it really reflects badly on them. You know, some people come in with dirty nails, or they don't shave, or they don't put on deodorant. This is getting TMI. These rules are the basics. 101 on how to look professional, I feel like in every industry. So people who don't comply with them, everyone notices, and it doesn't bode well for them. That's like easy. However, there's a set of implicit rules that are not so easy to pinpoint. Nobody really talks about them because they really vary depending on which team, which individuals you work with, etc. These were the rules that I wasn't really aware of. So one of the first rules that I didn't know about is don't outdress the boss. If you come into a new team, especially if you're a new person and you start really dressing the part and outdressing the boss, it's sort of, you're kind of upstaging them, especially when you're a newbie in the team. And that, from a human perspective, that does make sense because, you know, your boss, the seniors and the team, they've earned a right to, you know, be the ones who shine and who have the spotlight on them or whatever. However, I don't really fully agree on that, because if you're a great leader, you lead by example, and therefore if you lead by example, you expect the whole team to follow in your footsteps. Plus, if people in the team dress like the boss, it means that they're inspired by the boss. So it means that they're leaving a good trail to follow, that they're inspiring, that people look up to them. So for me, I see it as it's a compliment, but some people can get their egos bruised and therefore really take it the wrong way if you upstage them. And I noticed that in my team. I really noticed how some women got their egos bruised and didn't really appreciate to not be the ones who shined and really dressed the part. And that makes sense, but I didn't really care. I don't think if I want to care. I don't think we should dim our own light to please others. A second set of implicit rules that I noticed were applied in my previous team was be aware of how much you already stand out in the team you work in. And this is a very controversial because I'm not sure how much I stand behind it, especially from a diversity and inclusion perspective. However, if you are one of a kind, if you have a different body type from the rest of the team, or a different background, different origins, different whatever, if you stand out more, if when you walk into a room people automatically look at you more because you look different, you're obviously from the get-go catch more attention. Basically, if you're some sort of minority, and I'm not talking about only your origins, I'm talking about anything, right? I talked about body type, I talked about origins, I talked about, you know, your height or your size, or anything that could basically make you stand out. If you're a minority, like if you're the only woman in the team, or if you're the only man in the team, right? So if you basically stand out in your team, from the get-go you already catch a lot of attention. So be mindful of that. Basically, you know that from the get-go you'll always catch a lot of attention. It's important that everything you do is on brand and helps you get to where you want to go. And again, we'll talk about that in part 2 of this video. Okay, so these are the 2 implicit rules that were applied in my previous teams. What do you think about them? And do you know of any others? If so, let me know in the comments below. So how are we supposed to dress exactly in a way that makes us feel professional, confident, but also very authentic to who we really are? Whether we like it or not, when we enter in a room, our bodies already do the talking for us, and our image really reflects our identity and our brand in a professional setting. And our image really reflects who we are and represents our brand. So that's why it's really important that the way we dress conveys a good message, and a message that's helping us reach our goals. At work, what's most important is to be respected and not liked. However, we don't want the way we dress to cause us to be disliked by our team because we've bruised some egos or we rubbed someone the wrong way. We're not trying to please others, we're just trying to just be respected and move forward on our professional goals and be integrated into a team and get as many opportunities as others. That's the whole point. Now that we've said that, there's this book that I love talking about, Nice Girls Don't Get the Corner Office by Lois P. Frankel. And what I learned from it the most was that in every work environment, there are some rules, whether we like it or not. They're just, imagine if your office was a playing field of whatever sports of your choice. There's some rules. And if you want to get into the team and win against the other team, you need to understand the rules of the game and play according to them. And as a matter of fact, you want to play them to your advantage so that you can score even more points. So from this analogy, understand that scoring higher points equals building a successful career on your own terms, whatever that means to you. And in our case, playing the rules of the game equals dressing appropriately according to the rules in the team you work for and in the company you evolve in. Step number 1 is to inquire. Before you get into a new team, before you start searching for a job, it's so important to spend as much time as you can talking with the professionals in the industry and in the targeted companies. It's so important that you book a lot of calls and meet a lot of people in real life and ask them as many questions as possible about what's required to be successful in that industry, in that role of choice. And in our case, it's important that you ask the women in that industry and in those targeted company, what's the dress code like? How people dress during the week? How do they dress whenever they have to meet with clients? What casual Fridays look like? And how does the dress code evolve from the junior level to the more senior levels? What are the differences there? What's allowed, what's frowned upon, what's okay? And perhaps they could also describe you the different styles depending on the different people in the team. And don't be afraid to ask and inquire about how people who look like you dress. Step 2 is to on your first day and for the next 2 to 3 weeks of starting a new job, it's important that you keep your eyes open and observe as many things as possible just to understand how it's done. And these are the crucial first days/weeks where you can really observe and understand by yourself if all the information that you've gathered before is true or false, or if you need to tweak things. This one is a bit more straightforward for everyone, I feel like, because back in my intern days, I remember everyone would tell us to tone it down for the first 2-3 weeks just to make sure that, everyone has the time to observe how it's done and you're not the only one showing up, in one outfit versus everyone else. Once you've understood step 1, step 2 is much easier. Step 3, and you've guessed it, it's going to be my favorite one, is to reflect. Okay, so step 1, we've gathered a lot of information about the rules. Step number 2, we've observed those rules into action. And step 3, it's really good to take the time to reflect on those rules and to make sure, okay, do they feel good to me? How do I position myself vis-a-vis those rules? What I mean by reflecting is to take the time to ask yourself, what's my fashion style? How do I like to dress? What type of clothes make me feel comfortable? What type of shoes? What type of suits? What are my go-to colors? Those who really flatter my complexion. You see, this step is really important because this is the step that will allow you to build your own authentic professional style. If you just focus on the 2 first rules, then we're all just about fitting into a mold. And we're just asking about how it's done, and then we're copying everyone else. We're not asking questions, and that's it. The problem with that is that we forget ourselves in the mix. We lose our identity. What's the fun about forgetting who we are at our core and just following everyone else? It does not make sense. So this second step about reflection, it's about understanding what's your fashion style. And beyond that, it's not just about fashion, it's really understanding how do you want to express who you are and how can you show up in a way that makes you feel really confident, energetic, and boost your self-esteem. Because that's the whole point. You want to show up at work feeling like yourself, ready to work, ready to perform really well, and feeling happy and good about yourself. If you're just fitting into a mold, you'll just show up at work feeling really awkward, not feeling like yourself, feeling like you're playing a role. We do not want that because that's so draining. This is the part where you also take the time to understand how the way you dress can align with your professional and personal goals. A professional goal can be something along the lines of, I want to be promoted next year. Or I want to be accepted into this very new team and learn the ropes of this industry. Or I want to become partner next year. These are some professional goals. Some personal goals are, after work, I really want to have the time to go to the gym. Or I really want to have time to go and pick up my kids. Or I really want to have time to transition really quickly between work and dates because I'm trying to find a partner. So you see how reminding yourself of your professional and also your personal goals will also influence the way you dress. So having in mind your current goals, professional and personal, but also who you are, your identities, what messages are you trying to convey through your style, what colors and accessories and fabrics and styles look good and feel good on you. Finally, you'll be able to infuse your whole personality into the way you show up at work. And that way you can stay true to yourself. This topic shows up often in my coaching sessions because when you dress in a way that's not you and you try to fit into a mold, it really attacks your confidence and your self-esteem. Back in my corporate days and back in my banking days, as an intern, I remember there was this senior director and we all went to an after work at a bar and he was sitting on the stool and we could all see the socks he was wearing under his suit. And he was wearing Donald Duck's socks. And that senior director was, I think, in his 60s, so it made us laugh. And we talked to him and we said, hey, so could you explain what's going on there? And he said, hey, you know, this is really the way that I found to keep the younger child in me near me and always have him with me because I'm so serious every day at work. I just really needed to find a smart way to still bring my younger self at heart every single day to work, not to forget. I found that to be incredibly smart, and I really encourage you to find a way that you can do that as well, in a way that fits, you know, with the rules that you'd have found in step 1 and 2. And because he worked in finance, it only made sense for him to do that with socks. Had he done that with a tie, people may not have taken him seriously, but socks, you know, it's discreet. That was very smart. And step 4, explore. I encourage you to explore and have fun with your style and experiment and play with outfits and accessories just to see for yourself and feel for yourself what makes you feel confident, what doesn't. That way you'll be able to refine your style and feel really good about it. So I guess the moral of the story here is you don't have to come up with a perfect outfit on day 1. It's really good if you take the time to really investigate about all the rules and reflect about where you are and all of that, and then practice and give yourself some space to test it out. And that way you'll be able to build your own professional wardrobe that makes you feel really, really good and confident in your skin. But keep in mind that no matter what we do, we cannot please people. Depending on the industry, depending on the team, depending on the people in your team and what phase of their life they are in, they may react differently to an outfit versus the other, right? You may get different reactions. What I truly believe in is to dress the way you want. No matter what's your goal, no matter where you are in life, whether at work or outside, my true belief is people should dress the way they want to. Well, this is not about wanting to please people. This whole video and this whole conversation is around getting to your goals, feeling empowered, confident, and respected at work, right? And being integrated into the team to be given opportunities. We're not trying to be set aside here. If after applying all those steps you still feel like something is off, you feel unaligned and you don't feel fully accepted in your team or comfortable or confident, perhaps it's time to raise your standards and dare to take action to change your environment. What's your go-to style when you go to work? Let me know in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like and subscribe to my channel. See you next week for the next video. Bye.